Have you ever been tricked into thinking coding was simple? Let me break it to you. Coding is not just about writing a few lines of text. It's about understanding, digging deep, and Spring Batch, it's a beast. Now, with Spring Batch 5.2, you've been seduced into believing things are better, faster, and simpler. Let me warn you, you're about to enter a trap. What trap, you ask? The trap of dependency. They've upgraded everything. Spring Framework, Spring Integration, Spring Data. Sounds great, right? No, it's wrong. It's all distraction. The shiny updates, the fancy names, they're pulling you in. But have you looked deeper? MongoDB Job Repository support? Sure, they will say NoSQL is the future, but what they will not tell you is the cost. You need MongoDB version 4 or later. And don't forget to configure Mongo template and Mongo Transition Manager. You thought this would save your time? Think again. Let's talk about the so-called new features. Composite Item Reader implementation, query hints in GPA item readers, concurrent steps with blocking queues. They make it sound revolutionary, but is it really new, or is it just repackaging of old ideas to keep you hooked? Think about it. Here's harsh truth. The more you rely on frameworks, the less you are in control. Spring Batch 5.2 might look like your best friend, but is it just another layer of complexity? Ask yourself, do you want to be developer or a framework babysitter? Because once you step into the world of ever-changing dependency, you'll always be playing catch-up, updating libraries, debugging broken integrations, chasing after-release notes like a hamster on a wheel. So, are you ready? Ready to stop being a pawn? Ready to take control of your code? Because here's the secret. This new version isn't just about what's new, it's about what's next. And if you don't understand that, you're already falling behind. But hey, don't take my words for it. Try it yourself, get your hands dirty. But when you hit that roadblock, remember this moment. Remember that you were warned. You think it's powerful, yes, but also it's dangerous. So what it's gonna be? Will you master the framework or let the framework master you? The choice is yours. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The new Resourceless Job Repository sounds like a dream, doesn't it? No databases, no configurations, just pure, unburdened execution. But hold on, let's take a closer look. What exactly is the Resourceless Job Repository? It's a no-op implementation. Doesn't store batch metadata, doesn't use in-memory maps, doesn't care about job history or restartability. In simple terms, it throws away everything. That means no execution context, no restart capabilities, no metadata. Gone. At first glance, this seems perfect for lightweight one-off jobs. No JDBC setup, no dependency on a data source. Just run and forget. But here's the kicker. This repository is about as reliable as a sandcastle in a storm. Let me explain. This implementation is not thread safe, not suitable for concurrent environments. And if you ever need to share data between steps or restart a failed job, forget it. Imagine running a high priority, critical job. It fails halfway through. Do you know what happens with the Resourceless Job Repository? Poof! All that progress gone. Just gone. And let's not forget the trap here. They are selling you on simplicity, a lightweight solution, but the cost, your future sanity. If you're running anything beyond the most basic isolated jobs, you're walking into a minefield. Sure, you could use it for one-time jobs. Sure, it works in a single JVM, but the moment your job grows or scales, you're stuck. Here's another catch. They removed the in-memory map-based job repository in version 5. Why? They claim it's for good reasons. But was it really? Or is it just their way of locking into something new? Because now, if you don't like the resourceless option, guess what? Your only choice is JDBC, which means you're back to configuring data sources, managing database connections, or dealing with dependencies. It's like they're saying, hey, here's the solution, but if it doesn't work, tough luck, you're on your own way. So what's the takeaway here? The Resourceless Job Repository is not a universal fix. It's a niche tool for niche problems. Are you building simple, not critical one-time jobs? Fine, use it. But if you're building scalable, robust systems, beware. Because the second you need thread safety, concurrency or stability, this tool will fail you. And by then, it will be too late. Here's my advice. Don't get blinded by the promise of simplicity. Ask yourself, what do my job need? What happens if they fail? Can I afford to lose progress? If the answer is no, then you know what to do. Stay clear, because this isn't just a tool, it's a test. And if you don't see the cracks in the foundation, you learn the hard way. Trust me, new Spring Batch is here to help, but only if you know when and how to use it. Otherwise, it'll leave you stranded. The choice is still yours. Now let's dive into the Composite Item Reader. This sounds like a game changer, doesn't it? A single reader to handle data from multiple sources, flat files, databases, all working together seamlessly. But let's not get carried away, because while this looks magical, it's anything but simple. What is Composite Item Reader? Really? It's a reader that works by delegating its operations to multiple underlying readers. Each reader handles its own source, and the Composite Item Reader stitches their output together one step at a time. Stitches their output together one step at a time. Here's the pitch. Your data is scattered across a CSV file and a database table. No problem. Use the Composite Reader to read it all in one go. But wait, let's peel back the curtain. Here's the reality. Each delegate reader must have the same format. Why? Because the Composite Item Reader assumes uniformity. Think about it. Flat files, databases, they may contain similar data, but are they truly identical? What if the CSV has missing columns? What if the database table has additional fields? Guess who has to deal with these discrepancies? You. And let's talk about performance. Flat file item reader, fast and straightforward. JDBC cursor item reader, not so much. Querying a database for every time can quickly turn into a bottleneck. Now, imagine combining the two. You're introducing complexity into what should have been a clean, simple operation. But that's not the worst part. The Composite Item Reader reads the data sequentially. One delegate finishes, then the next one starts. Sounds fine, right? Until you realize that this means no parallelism, no efficiency gains, just a linear, step-by-step process. Here's an example to drive it home. You've got a file with 1 million records and a database with another million records. Your Composite Item Reader starts with the file. It reads all 1 million rows before even touching the database. So what happens if something fails midway? Say goodbye to all progress. Start over from scratch. And debugging, it's get even more fun. If one of your delegate readers fails, do you know exactly where and why? Not unless you dig through the logs and manually track the execution flow. So, should you even use it? That depends. If your data is simple, uniform, and you absolutely need to combine multiple resources, then fine, give it a shot. But don't let the fancy API fool you. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Here's what they won't tell you. Composite item readers are designed for convenience, not for performance. They are great for prototyping, small-scale jobs, or when writing a custom reader feels like overkill. But for anything beyond that, you're better off creating a specialized reader tailored to your specific needs. Why? Because you'll get better performance, better control, and fewer headaches. So what's the verdict? The Composite Item Reader can be your ally if you use it wisely, but misuse it and you find yourself knee-deep in efficiency and debugging nightmares. The choice is always yours. Do you take this easy road, or do you dig deeper and build something better? Because in the world of Spring Batch, simplicity can be deceiving, and if you are not careful, it will cost you more than just your time. Think twice before you commit. Let's talk about the shiny new toys in Spring Batch 5.2. New adapters for function APIs and concurrent steps with blocking queues. Are they really magic wands they are advertised to be? First up, the new adapter for Java util function adapters like supplier item reader, consumer item writer, and predicate filtering item processor. They claim to make life easier, bridging the gap between Java's functional interfaces and Spring Batch. Sounds great, right? But here's the truth, it's a double-edged sword. Take supplier item reader, a reader that fetches data from supplier. Elegant? Yes. But what if your supplier has side effects? What if it depends on external states like a network call or shared resources? Suddenly your simple reader becomes a time bomb. And consumer item writer? A writer that delegates to a consumer. Sure, it's clean and minimal, but ask yourself, what happens if your consumer fails midway? There is no rollback mechanism backed in. You're on your own to handle retries and recovery. And let's not forget predicate filtering item processor. It's supposed to filter items based on predicate, great for simple condition. But once your logic gets even remotely complex, you'll find yourself writing nested predicates, debugging why certain items didn't pass, and wondering why you didn't just write a regular processor. Here's the truth they are not telling you. These adapters aren't game changers, they are shortcuts. Shortcuts that work fine for trivial use cases, but for real-world, production-grade jobs, they can leave you with more questions than answers. Now, let's move on to concurrent steps with blocking queues. This one is being hyped as a game changer for data pipelines, a staged event-driven architecture powered by blocking queue, item readers and writers. The idea is simple. You have step 1, which writes data to queue, step 2, which reads data from the same queue. Both steps run concurrently, non-blocking, event-driven, efficient. What could possibly go wrong? A lot. First, queues are not magic. They are great for decoupling stages, but they come with their own set of problems. What happens when your queues overflows or when it underutilized? Do you have proper back pressure mechanism in place? Second, concurrency is hard. 2 steps running simultaneously sound great on paper, but in reality, you will be wrestling with thread-safe issues, synchronization problems, and debugging nightmares. And here's the kicker. This whole setup depends on a blocking queue, a queue that, by definition, blocks when it's full or empty. So much for non-blocking, right? Let me give you an example. Step 1 is producing data faster than step 2 can consume it. The queue fills up. Step 1 is now blocked. What's the point of concurrency if one step is constantly waiting for the other? Or the reverse happens. Step 2 consumes data faster than step 2 can produce it. Now step 2 is sitting idle, waiting for the data. Again, where's the efficiency? And let's talk about failure handling. What happens if step 1 crashes after writing partial data to the queue? How do you ensure that step 2 doesn't process incomplete or corrupted data? Here's the ugly truth. The blocking queue approach works beautifully in theory, but in practice it requires meticulous tuning, careful monitoring, and robust error handling. It's not a plug-and-play solution, it's a framework that you'll need to invest significant time and effort to mastering it. So what's the takeaway here? These new features, functional adapters and blocking queues-based concurrency, are nice to have. They are not revolutionary, they are not must-haves. If your use case is simple and your data flows are straightforward, sure, give them a try, but if you're working on complex high-stakes data pipelines, be prepared to roll up your sleeves, because at the end of the day there is no shortcut to robust, maintainable code. The new Spring Batch is powerful, yes, but don't let the hype blind you. New doesn't always mean better, and simple doesn't always mean easy. The real lies in your ability to choose the right tool for the job. So, don't fall for the illusion. Stay critical, stay informed, because the only thing standing between you and maintenance nightmare is you. Choose wisely.